On paper, the U.S. Navy is in trouble. China now has the largest navy in the world by ship count, and they're building more every year. They also have terrifying missiles nicknamed carrier killers specifically designed to take out America's most powerful warships from hundreds of miles away. So if China has more ships and better missiles, what's stopping them? Well, a recent incident revealed a shocking weakness in their armor, a mistake so basic it's almost comical. But this mistake has made them more dangerous, not less. I'm going to show you exactly what happened and reveal the one secret weapon the US is counting on to level the playing field. Let me tell you a story that sounds like it's straight out of a Netflix coach-approved movie, but I promise you it's very real, and we'd better pay attention to the consequences. Imagine you're on a small Philippine patrol boat, sailing in the sunny South China Sea. Suddenly, you're being hunted. Not by one, but by two massive Chinese ships, a state-of-the-art Navy destroyer and a giant Coast Guard cutter. Their goal is to chase you out of waters they claim as their own. They get closer and closer, their maneuvers getting more aggressive by the second. But then the unthinkable happens. In their frantic effort to corner you, the two giant Chinese ships miscalculate. They turn at the wrong time, and with a horrifying crunch of metal, they slam right into each other. This isn't a theory. It happened in mid-August 2025 near a place called Scarborough Shoal. The Philippine Coast Guard caught the whole thing on high-definition video. The footage is shocking. You can see the bow of the Coast Guard ship completely shattered. Worse, just moments before the impact, several Chinese crew members were standing right at that spot. After the crash, they were no longer visible. Truth be told, this single embarrassing blunder for China did more than just damage two very expensive ships. It peeled back the curtain on a much bigger, much more dangerous game being played in the Pacific. And it triggered a response from the United States that has put the entire region on high alert. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. What happened next is where this story goes from a regional scuffle to a potential global crisis. So with two Chinese ships smashed up and Beijing facing a major public relations nightmare, what does the United States do? Do they sit back and watch? Not a chance. 2 days later, the U.S. Navy sent a clear message. Two American warships, the destroyer USS Higgins and the combat ship USS Cincinnati, sliced through the waves, conducting what the military calls a freedom of navigation operation just 30 miles from the shoal. Now here's something you probably didn't know. This move was a masterful piece of strategy. By waiting 2 days, the U.S. avoided sailing directly into the middle of the mess, which could have started a direct confrontation. Instead, they sent a powerful, undeniable signal to both China and our allies. We are here, we are watching, and we will not be intimidated. China, of course, claimed they had driven away the U.S. destroyer, a statement the U.S. Navy publicly and flatly denied. This shadowboxing match is happening because these waters are unimaginably important. We're talking about the highway for roughly 1/3 of all global shipping. That's about $3.3 trillion worth of goods every single year. A disruption here sends shockwaves to the supply chains that stock your local stores with everything from food to phones. This is the world's economic jugular vein, and right now the balance of power protecting it is shifting in a very scary way. The best part is coming up, where we dive into the raw numbers and reveal just how much China's military has grown. Alright, let's break down the hard numbers, because this is where things get really serious. For decades, the U.S. Navy has ruled the seas, but that reality is changing at lightning speed. China is in the middle of the biggest naval buildup by any country in modern history. Right now, the U.S. Navy has about 296 ships in its battle force. China, on the other hand, already has the world's largest navy by ship count, and is on track to have around 395 ships by 2025, and a staggering 435 by 2030. They are simply outbuilding us. But it's not just about the number of ships. It's about what those ships, and the weapons protecting them, can do. China has poured billions into creating an invisible wall in the sea, a strategy designed to keep U.S. forces at a distance. The crown jewels of this strategy are their anti-ship ballistic missiles. You may have heard of the DF-21D, nicknamed the Carrier Killer. It has a range of over 900 miles and is designed to do one thing: hunt and neutralize a massive American aircraft carrier. And then there's its bigger, scarier brother, the DF-26, also known as the Guam Killer. With a range of nearly 2,500 miles, it can threaten U.S. bases that were once considered safe havens. This creates a giant keep-out zone, pushing U.S. carriers so far back from a fight that they might not be able to help our allies. So yes, the numbers are terrifying. But a navy is more than just steel hulls and missile launchers. It's about the sailors who operate them. The United States has been running complex blue water carrier operations for over a century. Its crews have generations of institutional knowledge, honed in real-world crises from the Atlantic to the Persian Gulf. China, for all its shiny new hardware, simply doesn't have that. That embarrassing collision wasn't just bad luck. It was a symptom of this massive experience gap. Their crews are green, their command structure untested under extreme pressure. This is China's Achilles heel. With more ships and ship-hunting missiles, it seems like China holds all the cards. But they have another force at sea, one that's almost invisible and causes chaos every single day. Trust me, you want to hear this one. So how does China control vast areas of the sea without starting an all-out war? They use a tactic called the gray zone strategy, and its main weapon is the Chinese maritime militia. Now what is that? Imagine hundreds of fishing boats that don't actually do much fishing. Instead, these boats, funded and controlled by the government, are used to swarm, surround, and intimidate ships from other countries. They loiter around disputed areas for more than 280 days a year, creating constant friction and making it impossible for countries like the Philippines to go about their business. They bump into ships, block pathways, and generally act as a constant, annoying, and dangerous presence. They operate just below the threshold of war. It's not an act of war for a fishing boat to get in your way, right? But when hundreds of them work together, directed by a central command, it becomes a powerful tool of coercion. This creates a constant headache for the U.S. and its partners. And speaking of partners, they are not sitting on the sidelines. The recent chaos has actually pulled U.S. allies closer together. In the days right after that big collision, Australia, the Philippines, and another key partner, Canada, staged high-tech air defense exercises right near Scarborough Shoal. It was a direct response, a show of unity, and it highlights a critical point you need to understand. A problem with China is no longer just America's problem. This is where the story gets way bigger than just Washington and Beijing. When that Chinese destroyer and Coast Guard ship collided, it sent a signal to allies across the Pacific. It's time to team up. These new military drills weren't just for show. They were a powerful demonstration of what we call interoperability, the ability for different militaries to work together seamlessly. And Canada's role here is a perfect example of how this conflict is expanding. It might seem like a small detail, but it's huge. Earlier, a Canadian warship had already sailed through the sensitive Taiwan Strait, a clear statement supporting international law. Canada also joined the other G7 nations in standing up to China's aggressive military drills around Taiwan. These actions show that a US-China incident can quickly and easily pull in other countries, even if they aren't the main players. They are choosing a side. A Canadian flag on the water, even a small one, is a signal that this is an international issue. This web of alliances is America's greatest strength. But China's aggression is testing one specific alliance more than any other. And it's backed by a legal document, a piece of paper that acts as a tripwire for a massive conflict. And we are about to break down exactly what that document says. At the heart of this volatile situation are two brittle pillars, a court ruling and an old treaty. First, the 2016 Hague ruling that legally vaporized China's expansive claims to the South China Sea. It was a decisive legal blow which Beijing promptly treated as scrap paper. That ruling now haunts the region not as a point of law but as the ghost of a world order that no longer exists. Now for the tripwire, the 1951 U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty. This isn't a historical document. It's a loaded gun. For years, China's gray zone tactics, using its ghost fleet of maritime militia and aggressive Coast Guard ships, were designed to operate just below the threshold of war. But Washington's declaration that an attack on a Philippine Coast Guard vessel triggers the treaty has changed the game entirely. This transforms the rusty hulk of the BRP Sierra Madre, deliberately grounded on the second Thomas Shoal, from a makeshift outpost into ground zero for a potential superpower conflict. This is where the theories get wild. Some analysts believe the constant water cannon barrages and military-grade laser attacks are not just harassment. They are a form of systematic testing, using AI to analyze American response times and congressional rhetoric to calculate the precise level of aggression needed to make Manila abandon its claims without activating the treaty. The real fear isn't just a simple collision. Imagine a staged accident, a seemingly civilian Chinese vessel suffering a catastrophic explosion near a Philippine ship, creating a manufactured pretext for escalation. Furthermore, the conflict may not even be on the surface. A silent, unseen war could already be underway on the seabed, with Chinese submersibles quietly laying a web of sensors and smart mines around Philippine-held features, ready to create a deniable attack that could trigger the treaty. This turns the tripwire from a clear red line into an algorithmic hair trigger. An autonomous drone or an AI-enhanced targeting system could misinterpret a signal and launch a weapon before any human commander can intervene, sparking a conflict in milliseconds. We have a crowded waterway, a shadowboxing match between navies, and swarms of militia boats. But beneath that, we have a digital war of nerves and a potential underwater battlefield just waiting for its moment. The treaty tripwire is no longer about a ship captain making a mistake. It's about an algorithm miscalculating or a pre-planned accident spinning out of control. This is how a localized clash over a reef could instantly ignite a multi-domain global crisis, crippling global shipping and financial markets overnight. We are well past asking how to prevent it. We are now forced to game out how to survive it. So tell me, will China's Navy one day outmuscle America's? Or is U.S. strategy still unbeatable? Drop your thoughts below, smash that like button, and subscribe for more.